Alright guys, doing a video for Topgolf U certification. So first we're going to start off talking a little bit about D-plane. We're going to talk a little bit about gear effect, and then we're going to talk about the grid, which we can use to build a draw into a swing. That is going to use a little bit of D-plane, what we're talking about here. So just want to start off with D-plane and just kind of explain that to you. So there's going to be an arc to every golf swing. Now, we've got the front view, so this is if you were looking at me from the view that you have now. That's going to be the top one. The bottom one here is we have the view if you were looking directly from above a golfer. So we'll start with this one here, the front view. So basically what D-plane says is that there's going to be a low point here in every swing. There's going to be a low point. Anything before that low point, the club is going to be moving downwards. Once it reaches that low point, anything after that low point, the club is going to be moving upwards. Pretty easy to understand. In terms of what we know from that front view, for the top view here down here, what we can basically conclude is that anything that we're seeing before that low point, this club is going to be moving outwards. So the golfer would be standing right here. So I'll draw 2 little feet here. So anything before this low point here, I've got it with these blue lines here, this club is going to be moving outwards. Once it reaches that low point, anything moving after that, it's going to be moving inwards. Okay, so we can use this to explain, using the grid, how we can go ahead and just build a draw into a swing here. So anything before the low point, it's moving down and out. Anything after the low point, it's moving upwards and inwards. All right? So we're going to take that off here. I'm going to draw the grid. So I've got a couple lines here. This top one here is going to be the target line. These 2 lines here, this top one, this is going to be the path that the club is going to travel on. And this is bottom one here is going to be the path that your hands are going to travel on. Now, what I have here, I've got 2 little simulated feet. And I've got a line that's going right down the middle of that as well. Now, if we can assume that we're going to line this up right in the middle of our feet, and we also assume that we're going to keep this left arm straight the whole time, the center of our swing is going to be just inside that shoulder, okay? Now, that's probably going to be somewhere around here. So, if we have a straight arm, that's where our low point is going to be. So, what we can conclude from there is that if our low point, if we're going to put the ball right here, and our low point is going to be after we make contact, we can go ahead and conclude that that club will still be moving downwards and outwards once we strike the ball. Now that's going to be important so we can build a draw into the swing here. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this again here. And we're going to talk a little bit about ball flight loss. So alright, we've got a hole here, we've got that target line. What we do know is that the club face is going to be responsible for the starting direction of the shot. So if we've got a club that's going pointing straight at the target, ball's going to start straight. If it's pointing to the right, it's going to start a little bit right of the target. If the club face at impact is pointing anything left, it's going to start left. Okay? Now, the relationship between face and the path of the club, so we talked a little bit about using the D-plane, whether this club is going to be swinging left or to the right. So where the club face is pointed at impact, as well as the relationship between that and where the club is traveling, that's going to determine the curvature. Now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to use a dotted line for starting direction. So we're going to go ahead and just say that starting direction was about 3 degrees, or the club face was about 3 degrees open for a right-handed golfer. That means that the ball is going to start to the right. Okay? If we wanted to hit a perfectly straight shot, it would be important for our club path to match this number. So, if our club path, which I'm going to use for purple, is a straight line, if it matches that blue dotted line, so if we're going to do about 3 degrees to the right with our club path, that's going to equal a straight shot. So, in terms of ball flight laws, for somebody to hit a straight shot, that means that their club face at impact and the path that the club is traveling are going to have to match up at impact. It's very difficult to do. Straight ball is the hardest ball to hit in golf. Now, we're going to keep that club face the same, but we're going to go ahead and change the club path. So, if we wanted to curve a ball to the left, the path of the club has to be more to the right than the club face at impact. So, we know that it's about a 2-to-1 ratio. So if this ball, dotted line here, were to start 3 degrees to the right, we would need a club path, which is going to be purple thick line, would need to be about 6 degrees to the right, and that shot is going to result in a shot or in a curvature that starts to the right but curves back to the target line. Okay? So, if our club face is open, our swing path needs to be more to the right, assuming this is a right-handed golfer. If our club face is open, the club path has to be more to the right than the amount of degrees that the club face is open. Okay? So, not all golfers hit draws. In fact, only about 5 to 10% do regularly on a regular basis. So, what we see with a lot of beginner golfers or just golfers that are 25, 30 handicap is they're going to start their shots off to the right and they're going to curve more to the right. Now, that's because if we're going to keep this club face 3 degrees open, so it's going to start to the right, if their club path is any left or less than 3 degrees to the right, that ball is going to curve to the right. So, we've got this blue dotted line. Starting direction 3 degrees open. Let's say in purple that the club path was swung right down the target line. Okay, so we're going to call that 0 degrees, right or left. That'll be a debate anybody wants to do. So 0 degrees. Now this club face is pointing more right than the path of the club. So club face is going to start it right. Since the club path is left, we're going to get a shot that starts right and curves to the right. Okay? So that's what we got for ball flight laws. And we'll talk about gear effect. You want to pause it?